The house didn't look dangerous. It sat quietly on a side street in southwest Atlanta, its windows covered, its yard unremarkable. Nothing about it would make you pause. But behind those walls, something tragic was unfolding. Something that would shake an entire city and expose the deep cracks in a system meant to protect children. Inside that home was a little girl. Her name was Treasure. She was just 4 years old, and in the final days of her life, she was isolated, unheard, and waiting for help that never arrived. What if I told you that Child Protection Services had already flagged the danger, that police had been urged to act not once, but several times, that warnings had been issued, and still no one came? This isn't just a heartbreaking case. It's a wake-up call. It's the kind of story that forces us to ask, what went wrong and how many chances were missed? Because by the time someone did open that door, it was too late. And what investigators found inside would lead to a criminal trial, public outrage, and reforms that are still unfolding today. So how did a child already known to the system end up in such a devastating situation? Stay with me, because once you hear what really happened, you'll never forget her name. Before we begin, if you care about true stories that demand answers, justice, and real accountability, please take a moment to subscribe to this channel. It helps ensure stories like this are heard. Now, let's begin. The home looked like any other. Quiet, ordinary, tucked away on a street where no one was watching too closely. Curtains drawn, a mailbox slightly tilted. Neighbors passed by without giving it much thought. But inside, something was wrong. Deeply wrong. A child was waiting. A little girl, just 4 years old, was inside that house, hoping someone would come. Her name was Treasure McWeay. She should have been in preschool, laughing, running, learning. Instead, her world had been reduced to a single room, and day by day, her voice grew quieter, her energy faded, and her presence began to disappear. Months before this, Georgia's child welfare authorities had already stepped in. They had removed Treasure and her siblings from that very home after finding conditions no child should be exposed to. It seemed like a rescue. It should have been the beginning of something better. But what followed defied belief. Not long after the children were placed with their mother in another state, their father, Rodney McWeay, drove across state lines and brought them back without permission. This wasn't a misunderstanding. It was a deliberate act, and authorities knew. Child Services contacted the police multiple times, urging them to check the home. There were real concerns about the children's well-being. Multiple alerts were sent, but responses were delayed. In some cases, they didn't come at all. And as those critical days passed, what unfolded behind those doors would become one of the most heartbreaking child protection failures in recent memory. By December 2023, Treasure was no longer the vibrant little girl she had once been. She had become isolated. Authorities now know she spent extended periods in a room alone. Food was scarce. Supervision was limited. And the home, again, had returned to the dangerous state it had been in before. When emergency responders were finally called, it was too late. Treasure was found in distress and unresponsive. Medical personnel tried everything they could, but the signs of prolonged deprivation were clear. She was transported to a nearby hospital where, despite efforts to save her, she was pronounced deceased. The case shocked the city and eventually the entire country. Rodney McWeay was arrested almost immediately. Authorities brought forward a list of charges, ranging from unlawful imprisonment to severe child neglect. Prosecutors argued that Treasure's death could have been prevented, not just by the father, but by the very system designed to protect her. As the case developed, it became clear just how many warnings had been missed. State Child Services had logged multiple requests for welfare checks. Reports were filed, but police responses were either significantly delayed or not prioritized. In the aftermath, Atlanta Police Department acknowledged the failures. An internal review was launched and public statements were made. Police Chief Darren Schierbaum admitted the system had broken down, and with public pressure mounting, the department implemented reforms. A new emergency code, Signal 45, was introduced to ensure immediate response to child welfare calls. Dispatch protocols were overhauled. Joint training between police and child services was announced to prevent future tragedies. But for Treasure, change had come too late. In June 2025, after a highly emotional trial, Rodney McWeay was found guilty on all charges. The jury heard the full story of the missed chances, the conditions inside the home, and the tragic consequences of inaction. He now awaits sentencing and is likely to face multiple life terms. This story is not just about one man's choices. It's about a little girl who deserved better, and the agencies, systems, and individuals who all had a chance to intervene and didn't. It's a reminder of what can happen when warnings are ignored and when children, especially the most vulnerable, are left without a voice. Treasure McWeay's name should not be forgotten. Her story should not fade away, because her life, however brief, has already sparked change. Her case has exposed cracks that can no longer be ignored, and her legacy may be the protection it inspires for others. If you've made it this far, thank you for caring. And if stories like this matter to you, if you believe these voices should be heard, please take a moment to like this video, leave a comment, and subscribe to this channel. Your support helps bring these stories to light and keeps the pressure on to make sure change actually happens. Now, let's remember Treasure, not for how she left this world, but for the call to action her story has become. Treasure's story isn't just about what happened inside one home. It's about what didn't happen outside of it. It's about all the people who were supposed to protect her and didn't. The case files were there. The warnings were loud. The signs were visible. And still, somehow, she slipped through every crack. We know who was charged. We know who was convicted. But do we really know how many others looked the other way? And more importantly, how many more children are living in silence right now? How many homes look ordinary from the outside, but inside, something tragic is brewing? How many reports are sitting on desks, unread, unanswered? What good are systems if they can't hear the most vulnerable? What happens when a 4-year-old girl has to wait for someone to save her and no one comes? We tell ourselves this was a failure. But what if it was something worse? What if it was a pattern? Treasure is gone, but the system that failed her still stands. So the question now is, what will it take for real change? Will we wait for the next tragedy? Or will we finally listen before it's too late?